New season, new patch. The update is here, and this time, it's a massive overhaul for the mage class, alongside some interesting hero and equipment adjustments. Before we dive into the specific heroes, you'll notice a huge theme today. Almost every mage is receiving attribute and mana cost adjustments. Let's check it out. First up is the buff on Obsidia. To improve her low pick rate for attack speed builds, her bone shard speed now scales much better with attack speed. It used to be flat range, but now it can reach up to 45 at max attack speed. To balance this, her base damage on those shards is slightly lowered, but they now inherit 100% of attack effects instead of just 70%. This makes attack speed items much more viable on her. Claude's ultimate has been adjusted to fix some consistency issues. The number of hits in his ult now scales directly with his attack speed. However, to keep it from being too overpowered, the attack effect inheritance is reduced from 50% down to 40%. So faster ultimate, but less damage. Wait. Quick break before we continue the patch update. Did you know that promo diamonds are back? Yes, the heaven-sent yellow diamonds have returned. And you know what that means. Mega sale is coming back. That means skin prices are about to drop way down. And when you combine the mega sale with promo diamonds, you can buy skins for as low as 1 diamond. But here's the important part. Don't forget to log in on March 17 and claim the free promo carnival pack. Open it and you will get up to 1,111 promo diamonds instantly. But remember, you can only use the promo diamonds from March 17 to March 24. The good news, the daily quests have already started. So start grinding those promo diamonds right now. Play with your friends, finish the quest, and stack those diamonds early. Alright, back to the patch update. Next is Ixia, and her laning phase is taking a hit. The developers felt her laning ability was too strong, so they reduced the base damage of her skill 1. Additionally, the HP regen she gets from hitting non-hero units with her passive is now cut in half. You'll now have to be more careful when trading in your lane. Eve is back in the patch notes, and her kiting ability is being toned down. The slow effects on her skill 2 and ultimate are being reduced significantly. However, she's getting a massive buff to her passive shield. The magic power scaling on the shield is more than doubled, which should help her survive when enemies dive her. They also optimize her camera angle during her ultimate, making it easier to see the battlefield. That's a big improvement for Eve players. Next is Zushin. To align with the mage adjustments, the developers reduce her early and mid-game damage and wave clearing speed. The base damage when holding her skill 2 is lowered, though the release damage is slightly higher at max level. Faramis is up next, and he's also receiving adjustments to align with the new mage and mana cost standards. Both his skill 1 and skill 2 now have higher mana cost, but the most significant change is on his ultimate. The cooldown is no longer a fixed 80 seconds. It now scales from 90 down to 70 seconds. This allows him to use his ultimate more often during those crucial late-game fights. Luoyi is also getting some love to improve her wave clearing. The base damage of her skill 1 is increased in the early game, which should help her rotate much faster. Additionally, the cooldown of her skill 2 now scales with level. Instead of a fixed 12 seconds, it now goes down to 10 seconds at max level, allowing her to trigger her yin-yang reactions more frequently in late-game team fights. Farsa is also receiving a nerf to her burst potential. Her skill 2 cooldown is now longer in the early game, and the base damage of both her skill 2 and ultimate has been reduced. Her mana costs have also been increased across her kit. Novardia receives some nice optimizations. Her skill 1 slow now increases over time, and her skill 2 damage in the late game is significantly higher. More importantly, her mana costs on skill 2 have been drastically reduced, allowing her to snipe more frequently. Eudora fans, this is for you. To reduce her downtime, the developers made her skill 1 cooldown a flat 5 seconds at all levels. This should make her much more active in the early and mid-game. Gord is getting some mobility and cooldown buffs. His movement speed is increased, and the cooldown of his skill 1 is now shorter. While his skill 2 damage is slightly lowered, his passive now scales with hero level, giving him better late game presence. Kagura is receiving a damage redistribution. Her skill 1 base damage is increased to help with early laning and wave clearing. Her ultimate cooldown is also significantly shorter at all levels, though the base damage is slightly reduced to compensate. Valentina is getting more early game pressure. The damage of her skill 1 is significantly increased in the early stages to enhance her wave clearing. However, the base damage of her skill 2 is slightly lowered. Nana is getting a big buff to her crowd control. Her skill 2 cooldown is now much shorter and the damage is significantly higher. This allows her to transform enemies more often in the late game. Good news for Nana tank players. Cyclops is getting a lower cooldown on his skill 1 to help with his skill rotation. While the base damage is slightly lowered, his skill 2 magic bonus scaling is increased from 40% to 65%, making him scale better with items. That should give him stronger late-game damage. Zask is getting much more frequent access to his ultimate. The cooldown of his ult is reduced by a massive 12 seconds in the early game. He also receives some buffs to his base HP, physical defense, and movement speed. It's time to play Zask once again. Similar to Zask, Veil is also getting a much shorter ultimate cooldown. It's down from 44 to 36 seconds at level 1. To balance this, his skill 2 early game cooldown is slightly longer. Savior is getting a small but welcome buff to his late game utility. The cooldown of his skill 2 now scales down to 11 seconds at max level. Odette is getting a survival and mobility boost. Her base HP and movement speed are increased and her mana costs have been significantly reduced. However, her ultimate's total damage and shield are slightly lowered for balance. Moving away from mages, Phoveus is getting some love for the late game. His passive magic damage and shield scaling now increase as the match goes on, making him much more of a threat in those final team fights. Glue was becoming a bit too frustrating to play against. The developers reduced his damage reduction per passive stack from 4% down to 3%, making him a bit easier to take down. Considering his high ban rate, I think he deserves this. Freya's early game sustain was a bit too high. The base HP regen she gets from basic attacks during her ultimate has been reduced. It's the heal she gets during her ultimate form for each basic attack. Yi Shin's ultimate, Mountain Shocker, is seeing a strategic change. The turtle ship duration is down to 10 seconds, meaning you'll need to time your ultimate well. That minus 5 seconds is huge. On the bright side, his enhanced basic attacks now benefit from attack speed. Yes, Gold Lane Yi Shin has become even more viable. Next, we have a long list of mages. Luo Yi, Aurora, Vexana, Faramis, Chang'e, Selena, Lilia, Lunox, Kimi, Kadita, Sicilian, and Zitian. They all receive minor adjustments to their attributes, mainly affecting HP, physical defense, and mana cost to match the new balance benchmarks. According to the developers, these tweaks are meant to keep their overall power level around the average. Next are item adjustments. Several mage items are being rebalanced to make build paths more interesting. Enchanted Talisman. This is a big one. It now gives way more magic power and HP, from 50 to now 75, while the HP gained 50 points. But in exchange, the cooldown reduction is reduced from 20 down to 15%. Glowing Wand. It gained 10 more magic power, but minus 100 HP. In return, the price is now less 100 gold. Ice Queen Wand. The control effects are increased, but the magic power is lowered to 60. This means the slow effect is now easier to stack on enemies. Holy Crystal. The devs think this item was a bit too cost-effective, so its flat magic power has been reduced from 185 to 165. Dominance Ice. The trigger range for its healing reduction is now 3.5 units, and it no longer requires you to take damage to trigger it. Yes guys, you only have to be near the enemy to trigger its Life Bane effect. It's back to its old version, so keep that in mind. Here are the other item adjustments. Feather of Heaven, Concentrated Energy, and Starlim Side all received plus 5 magic power. Oracle, on the other hand, got a small nerf. Its shield and HP regeneration bonus is reduced from 30 down to 25%. Meanwhile, Guardian Helmet got a slight buff. The HP regeneration it gains from excess damage is now 10% higher. Next are the emblem adjustments. Fighter Emblem. Its versatility is being nerfed slightly by reducing the adaptive attack bonus from 22 down to 16. Reason? Well, everyone's been using this since the Hybrid Lifesteal update. Marksman Emblem. The 5% lifesteal has been replaced with 5% adaptive penetration to give marksmen more punch in the late game. Interesting, right? Is 5% penetration a big advantage? And that's it for this massive official server update. The mage meta is definitely going to look different with all these attribute and mana changes. What do you think about the new mage items and emblem adjustments? Drop your thoughts in the comments. As always, thank you for watching.